A budget battle is well underway as lawmakers head back to Annapolis for special session. Good evening. It's Monday, May 14th. I'm Patricia Vallone. Thank you for joining us. Well, the legislative session in Annapolis ended last month, leaving a budget that could cause a mess for the state. Today, lawmakers returned to try and fix it. Denise Douglas has the story.
Lawmakers are back in session, attempting to avoid what's being called doomsday cuts in the budget. If lawmakers don't take action on the budget, Prince George's County schools could face millions in cuts.
Approximately $51 million in revenue cuts to Prince George's County.
School Superintendent Dr. William Height in Annapolis says both those in and out of the classroom would suffer.
After having 3 years of the significant revenue shortfalls that we've had in the past, it's not a time right now to impose that level of cut to a system like Prince George's County.
The so-called doomsday budget would include the elimination of 500 state positions, cuts to many state agencies, and reductions to higher education. Some special needs residents and their supporters testified before the Senate Budget Committee that they would also be hurt. Carol Fry talked about the potential of her son losing his caregiver.
Being the mother of an adult with developmental disability also brings out my worst fears. What if Teresa needs to find another employment due to low wages? I fear David would withdraw socially and emotionally. I fear for David's fundamental sense of security.
Over in the House Appropriations Committee, lawmakers also hear the concerns and are working to prevent the potential problems.
I believe that we're going to accomplish the business that we came back to take care of. Ultimately, what's at stake is, in addition to critical programs and services the state provides, like K through 12 and higher education, public safety, and scholarships for our students, we also have a AAA bond rating that we want to protect.
And the clock is ticking for that and the other issue on the table for this special session, a possible tax increase for individuals and joint filers making more than $100,000. So for lawmakers, the pressure is on.
So I guess the question ultimately is are we going to have a kind of state that we can be proud of in terms of the types of services that we offer? And I hope we can, and I hope that the legislation before you that will increase the revenue and get rid of the doomsday budget will pass.
If everything goes as planned, the committees will finish up today, and both the House and Senate will vote on the budget tomorrow. I'm Denise Douglas, CTV News.
And we could see lawmakers back in Annapolis for a second special session this summer, which the governor says he is considering. It would focus on a proposed gambling plan for Prince George's. Well, a group opposed to new taxes holds a press conference on Lawyers Mall this afternoon, voicing opposition to the special session. Americans for Prosperity is calling on the governor and the legislature to decrease spending.
The spending path we're on is unsustainable. You saw the visual there. The spending continues to go up, and there's no end in sight. And what's happened, and my call is, we're going to be California. California just announced, the governor just announced they have a $16 billion deficit out there, unsustainable. And the reason is because they're spending way too much money and their tax base has shrunk. 870,000 people, the size of the city of San Francisco, has left California in the last 5 years because they don't, people with means don't want to be there. They're being taxed to death.
The organization also rallied against a tax hike. That measure was killed earlier this year. Well, a College Park house fire displaces 5 University of Maryland students. The blaze happened just after 11:30 last night. Although the address of the house is in the 7000 block of Baltimore Avenue, it's actually located on a roadway called the Muse. The fire reportedly began in the basement and spread to the first floor of the 2-story house. Only 1 student was home at the time and was safely evacuated. 1 firefighter sustained a sprained ankle while battling the fire. The cause is believed to be a faulty light fixture in the basement. Damage is estimated at $13,000. Well, a string of commercial armed robberies occurred in Prince George's over the weekend, and now police are seeking your help in tracking down the culprits. The same 2 suspects shown in these surveillance photos are armed with semi-automatic handguns, wearing masks as they enter businesses throughout the county. 7-Eleven convenience stores in Capitol Heights and Kettering, as well as gas stations in Bowie and Glendale, were the targets of robberies over the weekend.
We'll see this from time to time. There's not really any rhyme nor reason why you'll see 6 robberies over the course of the weekend. We do have our investigators working feverishly to track these suspects. We're grateful that we have these surveillance images, and we think that based on what you see in that video, someone will notice something about one of the two suspects.
Police say the culprits park a newer gray model Dodge Charger in the rear of the targeted locations before they enter. Anyone with information on the case is asked to call Crime Solvers. That number is 1-866-411-TIPS. A car crashes into a building at the Bowie Town Center this afternoon, but luckily there are no serious injuries. Officials say an adult female drove through a parking space, struck a light pole, and then crashed into a storefront. A retail store was evacuated. The driver was treated at the scene but did not require hospitalization. Bowie City Police are investigating the incident, which occurred just before 2 in the 3900 block of Town Center Boulevard. And you are watching CTV News. I'm Patricia Vallone.